Brother Peter just had an interesting encounter through Benita's dad. He was part of the placing of the wreath on the unknown soldier in Washington. And talk about that. Just mention it.
Talk about a humbling experience. Wow. That was horrible. You know, those might be Indians in it too. 2 days before, you know, they was calling to call it. I was in meetings in Rapid City, and I couldn't take it. So when I got a smoke break, I went out and I called him back to who it was. It was Donnie. He said, Peter, you need to get on a plane. Get out here. I said, get out where? He said, Washington D.C. So I said, for what? He said, we want you to represent the Crow Creek Sioux tribe and represent the American Indian veterans of the United States and place a wreath on the tomb of the unknown soldiers.
Did you get over to the museum?
No, I didn't have time. Flew in there the day before and flew out right after the ceremony.
They were in the process of trying to save the land.
Flew from Washington, D.C. to Minneapolis and went straight into a meeting with Stanley Crooks at Shakopee there and saved that land about 3 minutes from the deadline.
That was great news.
Yeah, it was.
Great news.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
And you had some other news. The last time I was out here, you had two groundbreaking ceremonies.
Yeah, for the high school and a new Head Start here. We started working on. So that's real exciting. You know, it's way overdue. Our schools are just crumbling down around our children and full of asbestos and mold and, you know.
It hasn't been good news for a long time out here. It's that how these people have hung in there. It's just, boy.
See, this gravesite up here was moved here. It never used to be here. There used to be down in the bottom there, and there's still graves down in there. We have people still under the water there. When we have veterans buried down there. When we go around and do our memorial service, you know, our local Warriors Club, our Akichita, we go stand down there and we fire over the water, and then we come up here and we fire over the graves here on Memorial Day. But you see how that dam is shaped? It comes off that hill. You're standing right here, you look straight across. That dam road comes straight here, and that was the first plan that comes straight across here. So they said, we're going to move it. So they moved it up here. They wanted to move it again, and our people said, no, we're not going to do that. So that's why the dam turns and it goes that way. And then it was running into another graveyard that our people stopped from moving it. So they put this turn in back this way. That's why that dam is shaped like that. Our people stood their ground here and they said, we're not gonna desecrate our loved ones. That's why that dam has them two curves in it. Every other dam, you know, around the world is just straight across the river.
I never knew that.
Yeah. But this is, right down here is actually one of the landing sites. There's here, Wolf Creek and Crow Creek. There was 3 different landing areas. And this was, I believe it was the first one. It was right at the mouth of this creek right back here is called Shneotaka. It's Soldier Creek. That's what that means. Some of the elders that are still alive know it as Cold Hang Creek. That's where they would hang the horse thieves, the cattle thieves. There's a big tree down there, and they'd take them up and they'd hang them down there. So our people now know it as Cold Hang. But before that, it was known as Soldier Creek. When our people were first brought here, the Dakota were on this side of the creek. On that side of the creek were the Ho-Chunk, or Winnebago as they're known. But their real name is the Ho-Chunk. And that's what separated our 2 tribes, and there was a big fort, army fort right down. Actually, it's back across the highway. I used to live right where that fort is, or used to be. But this was one of the landing sites where our people landed, and I read a lot of journals, you know, of soldiers and missionaries, and you know that kept up on their journals about their, you know, how they accompanied our people here, and it was, boy, I can't even get through those journals, you know,
Pretty
it's just so devastating. You know, my grandma Rose, she's passed on now. And she used to come over every morning, and her and my mom and my uncle would sit around and they'd talk Dakota, you know, and they'd drink coffee and eat chunky rounds, which is a bread that we made out of the government stuff that was given to us. And somebody had come in and they were talking English, and they had asked about that time when our people came. They said, was so devastating to our people that our elders won't talk about it, you know. And I even saw my grandmother cry, you know. She talked about eating the bark off the trees in the bottom down there. The army wouldn't let them out to hunt, to gather food. So you got to stay right here in this barricade, this prisoner of war camp. And they said, soon there's going to be a barge coming up the river. It's got fresh beef on it, food and tack, you know, whatever they ate back then, but it never came. And my grandmother talked about boiling saddles, boiling their moccasins, their leather belts, eating it. You know, and then they ate the bark off the trees down there. They also said one journal entry said on a daily basis 15 to 20 children were buried that died of starvation, disease, brutality from the soldiers. You know, our people here are, we suffer from something. It's called Ioki Shicha, is what we suffer from here. What it is, it's a deep embedded depression. I was with my grandmother at a powwow one time. We got some bad news. You know, I had a 14-year-old, my best friend, my close cousin, my brother, committed suicide. Two other of my family members died in a driving car wreck that same weekend, so we had to come back. And it was a pretty quiet ride, as you can imagine, you know. And I asked her, these things always happen here. It seemed like it happened all the time. Somebody, young men like this man here, you know, they'd hang themselves, kill themselves, drink themselves to death. And she didn't say anything for a long time when I asked her that. Why does it always happen to us? Why does it always happen here? Why do we do these things to each other? She didn't say anything for a long time, and I looked at her and she was crying. I could see a tear coming down. And she said, Ioki Shija. The best way I can describe that to you, translate that to you, is a deep, embedded depression. It's genetically imprinted in us. Today it's known as historic trauma. It's clinically diagnosed as the same thing soldiers suffer from when we return from war. You know, a lot of us are depressed. We don't know what it is. We don't know how to deal with it. We don't know where it comes from. You just get that real lonely, gut-wrenching feeling, and you don't know what to do about it. You do whatever you can to get rid of that bad feeling. Alcohol helps. You know, it's the easiest. You know, and it's a band-aid cure for the time. You know. She said at one time, our people had a very deep connection with the Creator, very deep connection with Mother Earth, the rivers, the spirit world, a very deep connection amongst our people, our families. She said it was taken from us like that. That's why we suffer the way we do today. We don't have those connections anymore. We don't have the Wakantanka in our life. We don't have that Creator. We don't have, we have no respect for Mother Earth. We don't even know she exists. You know, today we got families quarreling against each other. Feuds that have gone on for years, you know, and it shouldn't be like that. But that's the way it is. That's the way we live, and that's how we deal with it. She said that, we keep passing this on, this depressive gene from generation to generation. All the little ones are born with it. They come up in the same way. That lonely feeling in their heart, that empty feeling. Nobody there to encourage them, to teach them that way, to teach them who the Creator is, to teach them who Mother Earth is. Our elders don't teach that. A lot of them won't, because of them Catholic boarding schools. That way it was beaten out of them. I know elders, my mother was one of them. She'd wake up screaming. She was raped and beaten in that school for speaking her tongue by a Catholic priest. A lot of our elders are that same way. Hopefully things will mend, things will change, and our people will reconnect, you know, especially our young people. That's what it's all about, is the young ones.